You think you hate it now, but wait till you drive it.
The Kibbe and Friends Show.
What it is, bro?
Presented by Holley Performance, makers of the world's best air and fuel delivery systems. Featuring Rob Kibbe.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Justin Corndog Cornett.
New guy's in the corner puking his guts out.
And show producer Bernie McPartland.
This is the DJ 3000, and it has 3 distinct varieties of inane chatter.
We're talking cars.
Do you feel this vehicle is safe for highway travel?
Yes, I do.
Diving deep on the topics that matter most.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this.
And totally redeem yourself.
And the Dukes of Hazzard. Available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your content.
Turn up the volume.
This is the Kibbe and Friends Show.
Kibbe and Friends Show, episode number 193. Available in Apple Podcasts. Available in jail. Bernie. Available in Apple Podcasts. I'm sure it's the streaming in there whenever we get there. Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. I am your host, Rob Kibbe. Period. With me, as always, is co-host Justin Corndog Cornett. Period.
Yes, and Bernie never ceases to amaze us.
And in the glass booth of price-fixing emotion with his guns, his bacon, his Cadillacs, producer Bernie McPartland. Bernie, welcome.
Greetings. Glad to be back. Have we done a regular show lately? It just feels like we've been gone a long time.
It's been a minute.
It's been a month. So if you are a new listener, we typically do these once a week. We're supposed to do 2 a month. That's our contract. Did you guys know that? Our contract is 2 a month. That's what we're supposed to do. We always do more because, damn it, I don't know why we do more. we just
I knew there was a contract out on you, but I didn't know we had a contract per se.
We have a legit contract.
Cool.
So if you are new to this show is presented by Holley, the Holley, like the makers of the world's best carburetors, and then they just decided to make everything in the aftermarket. That Holley. This is an automotive and pop culture show. You will get plenty of both in this episode. We will review an episode of the Dukes of Hazzard, and we have a crap ton of pop culture. This is our first regular show back in the saddle, I think in a month, though. The month of June was a 5-week month. So by contract, we were supposed to do 2 shows. I think we released 4, didn't we?
Based on my timeline, probably, yeah. I don't remember standing up from this chair too many times.
We like to be consistent. Hey, you never know when there's some other advertiser out there that says, I'll take the 3rd show.
You bet. You bet.
We're open to it.
Then we're not doing any more than we were already doing.
Yes.
We're just reaping the benefits.
All true. All true. This is a good episode. You guys are going to be excited for this one. And since this is just out after Independence Day, fellas, I have a brand new game for you. This is called Patriotic Update. Brand new game. Bernie, a little bit of the right music would go well right here. I'm going to give you 3 clips from some pop culture phenomenons. Did I say that right? Phenomenons?
Just as I'm an internet phenomenon, yes.
Oh, yes. I should have gone with your reference. These would have come out on Independence Day or not. July 4th in this country is Independence Day, and that's over here in the colonies, Kevin Flood. Now, these are all patriotic and moving clips that I'm going to play for you, but one of these didn't come out on the 4th of July. It's patriotic, but it didn't actually come out on the 4th of July. So I'm going to play these one at a time. We'll discuss briefly, and then at the end, after you've heard all 3, I'll give you the answer. Everybody understand?
Sure.
Okay, so let's go with the very first one. This is 1:35. I have to play the whole thing. There's no way to cut it down.
In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world. And you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. Mankind, that word should have new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Let's do it. Let's get them. Sons of bitches. We'll take them all on.
The symphony was ready for him to just hit the final point, and then they hit the note. They did it just right.
Crescendo is the word.
Yeah, that too.
We never want to advertise another show, but there's another show. It's called The Rewatchables. Bill Simmons of ESPN fame sold his entire network to Spotify. They have a show called The Rewatchables, and not to give away the timing of the date, that is our game, but that movie was their latest feature. Okay, did everybody recognize that movie? Bernie, what was that movie? I know Corndog knows.
The inspirational speech was really a great takeoff and borrow from one of the movies where the asteroid's going to hit the Earth and annihilate us. And Morgan Freeman is the president of the United States and gives a stirring speech similar to that after the asteroid hits. And also it included a very nice pull of Rodney Dangerfield in the Back to School movie. We shall not go quietly into the night. You saw that. Great clip. Other than that, no.
I may default here. Corndog, what was the movie?
Independence Day.
Good. Okay, excellent.
I've only seen it maybe once, and that was in the theaters when it just came out.
Right. Okay. That's stirring, clearly. Moving, yes. Rah. But did it come out on the 4th of July? Actually, the 4th of July. What do you think right now?
I'm going to say no.
I'll say no. How about you, Brian?
I'd say no as well. That sounds like, yes, a summer blockbuster, but unlikely that it would be a 4th of July movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking like late summer, like August-ish.
I will tell you at the end here. Let's go to the second one here. Now,
come
again,
on.
It's not necessarily a movie. It's just got to be pop culture.
Now, did you say only one of these were not?
I didn't tell you anything about that. One of them is not for sure. If you think there's more, you can vote for that, but one for sure is not. Here's the next one.
Of all the words written here about freedom, there's a line that's at the heart of all the others. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. People don't talk that way anymore.
Beautiful. Huh. No idea what you said.
It means if there's something wrong, those who have the ability to take action have the responsibility to take action. I'm gonna steal it.
Do it, man.
Just take it.
What?
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Now, before you guys get confused, we have reviewed this a little bit before, but we did it slightly different. This is what we did before.
Nevertheless, the time has come for us to ride on to our next adventure.
What is that?
We're going to have a three-way with the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, that's what we did before, just so we didn't get confused, of course. Bernie.
We didn't do that.
I don't know what we did. I had the clip. Bernie, did you recognize that one? For sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That is Nick Cage. And
the Declaration of Independence is a...
What I did notice was his correct use of the microphone when he's trying to get down and deep and intimate the way KB likes to do it. That's
how Nick
the
Cage
correct
talks.
use of the vocal cords and the correct use of the diaphragm to talk.
So do you know the
slowly
name
when
of the movie or no?
you want to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Sounds like you're stalling.
Can't think of it.
Corndog, what is the name of the...
Well, would the Declaration of Independence, would it be some kind of a treasure, maybe?
A regional treasure?
No, like district.
Like
district
bigger,
treasure.
Bigger than that?
More like a national treasure. You would say?
There you go. There we go. National treasure. Okay, good job, folks. All right, Bernie, yes or no, that came out actually on the 4th of July.
I'm saying negative.
Negative on that one. Okay. How about you, Corndog?
I'm going to say no on that one as well.
Okay, no on that one too.
Now I'm kind of rethinking my first choice with Independence Day because that kind of does, I don't know. I'll stick with no on both.
I can't think of any movie that's come out on Independence Day. It's just not.
This would mean it was playing on Independence, like
or the week of, maybe,
or the weekend of. So if let's say Independence Day was Saturday, the 4th, and the movie came out on Friday the 3rd, that counts. That counts in our example.
Yeah, the week of.
That changes everything.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. If you want to re-vote on the first one, feel free, or the second one, based on that.
I'm still sticking with no on the second, but I might go yes on the first.
Okay. How about you, Bern?
I'm going to stand firm.
Stand firm. Okay. Here's the final one. Again, not necessarily a movie. It just has to be pop culture related. Here we go.
Oh, shit. Jesus, Lord Jesus, oh, Jesus Christ, oh, Jesus, oh, Lord Jesus, oh, whoa, that was awesome right there, God damn.
No, was that pop culture moment? Clearly, self-shot by someone. Was that a 4th of July release? Could have been the 3rd, could have been the 5th, who knows?
Sounded like Rob Kibbe watching one of his kids being born.
No, that was a fireworks fail video. One of many you can enjoy on the YouTubes. All right, Bern, what do you think? Was that a 4th of July spectacular?
That could have been released on the 4th, yes, but no clue what it was.
It's just fireworks fail. I'm telling you what it was.
Yeah.
It was a fireworks fail video.
You sure it wasn't one of your kids being born and you were there?
I'm positive it was
okay.
not.
It would be similar.
What's your vote? 4th of July or not? Yes?
Yes.
No. Okay, yes. Corndog, how about you? Was that a 4th of July release?
Well, the tricky thing is that could have easily been a New Year's experience too.
It could have. That's a good poll. That's a very good poll.
I'll go with yes, 4th of July.
Okay, let me give you the answers. The first one was Independence Day, 1996, 4th of July weekend. Bing! So I think Corndog got that one for sure.
Yeah, he did.
By the skin of my teeth.
The second was National Treasure. That was a Thanksgiving release. Maybe it was 2004 that one came out, but that was a Thanksgiving release.
Kind of hitting that Thanksgiving Christmas crowd.
And not even Thanksgiving, like middle of November, the early side of the Thanksgiving release. And the final was called Fireworks Fail, Lord Jesus. And there's more words in there that I cut out, but if you find it on YouTube, you'll find the rest. There's a word in there we do not speak, but it is very funny when it's spoken. It's
funny to hear, not to say.
Yes, when someone says get the water and then they say that word. It is awesome. So I hope you guys had a great Independence Day weekend, and everybody listening, that was our pop culture reference for the show to start. Now we'll get into the cars. So I did my annual Good Guys show with my General Lee, Kibbe Lee, and I took my Chevelle. We autocrossed all 3 days. There were more people at that show than I've ever seen in my life. Maybe 5,000 cars, over 100 cars autocrossing.
Wow.
It was bonkers.
Any other General Lees?
Nope. Just that one.
Cool.
Only had it there Friday. Ran it long enough to blow oil out the breather and break a battery tie down. But it was
Not
a crowd
too bad.
pleaser until that happened.
Nice. We have an exceptional tan. I was going to mention that when the time was right. So I guess now the time is right. You were catching some rays.
Yeah, I got
windows
cooked.
down.
We're pretty prepared now. The first time I did this, we just show up, some sneakers and walk around and, buy $8 beers. It feels like doing that. Now you show up with a cooler, a pop-up, 3 chairs, snacks. And I was under the pop-up it was hot. It was so hot. Just
like
miserably.
75 degrees.
Like 100 3 days in a row. It was awful.
And you're on black asphalt too, right?
Yes, kiss my black asphalt. That's exactly what it was.
That's what makes it even more miserable is when, there's no trees and it's just, everything's just radiating off the asphalt.
The breeze that did come in was just like a heat furnace. I mean, it's just...
You open the oven.
Oh, it was awful. But I had my QA1 mod shocks on my Chevelle, front and rear. And by Sunday, I started to figure them out. Saturday got weighed, though, because I guess they thought I might be a little underweight. The weight limit's 3,200 pounds. Would you like to guess what my car is with me in it and 5 gallons of gas?
Which car?
Chevelle.
The weight limit is?
The weight minimum is 32. You can be over it, but you can't be under it.
Okay.
North of 42.
Close.
What is just a off the showroom floor Chevelle weigh?
I think it'd be 3,400 pounds.
34.
I think for a small block car.
3,850.
4,100 even.
Yes.
There was one car heavier than me, and it was a show car. And he had to make some mandatory laps to qualify for an award. With a 4,100 pound car with a 245 front tire, which was definitely on the small side in my class, those shocks helped us finally get competitive. I'm never going to catch the winners anymore. I mean, maybe 10 years ago, that was a car that would have won easily. 5 years ago, it could have been really competitive. Now, out of 70 cars in the class, with the time I ran, that was a top 20 time. That's about as good as it's going to get. But before, I mean, I was middle of the pack at best, usually worse. It took a while to understand what does what, because you get a set of baseline specs to, like, they just say, try here when you start. If this happens, adjust it this way. If this happens, adjust it this way. So basically, it's what happens going into the corner, what happens in the corner, and what happens going out of the corner. And then you adjust front and rear accordingly. And then on these particular shocks, you can adjust high-speed compression, high-speed rebound, and low-speed compression, low-speed rebound. That doesn't mean the speed of the car. That means the rate of movement of the spring.
Right.
So for the most part in an autocross, you're talking about a high-speed something. But the low speed is remarkably felt. You can really feel it. That's actually done with a little Allen key. You're just adjusting bleed valves. And it's kind of hard to do, laying on your back at the track. Turning the knobs is easy. And that's all you're doing at the track is just turn the knobs. So when we got down there, I had the low speed already preset, and I had the high speed set at some basic settings that QA1's book just recommended. And then we tweaked everything from there. Friday night, I came home, put the car up on ramps, adjusted the ride height of both ends. Let's try this again, because I think I'm getting like some weird weight transfer. It's still too nose heavy. My car has always had like an ass high, rake to it, because I think that looks cool.
Old NASCAR rake.
Yeah. And no matter how flat I think I have it, it always is a little tail high. So on Saturday, it was not tail high. If anything, it was a little tail low. And it kind of helped, but I wouldn't say it helped a lot. And then Sunday, I just kind of went halfway in between of everything. And then it finally started to hook. Like, I remember the time it hooked and it felt good. Like, ooh, I got it.
That's what I want.
Yeah. And usually we don't go back on Sunday to autocross because we go down to the show and enjoy it. Because you don't have the time to enjoy the show if you're at the autocross the whole time. Yeah. But I wanted more. And Dallas rode every run with me except for 3. My oldest daughter ran one with me, and she's only done it once before. And when she ran it, the car broke on the track. And we coasted out. My youngest daughter did it for me for the very first time ever. And that was pretty great. And then my high school buddy, Aaron, who you have heard about many times on this show. He is the guy that killed 3 free-range cattle in Colorado once. He was there with me. But otherwise, it was always just me and Dallas doing runs. It was awesome. I want more.
How many runs did you get, would you say, over the weekend?
Not many. 4 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. On Sunday, there were 70 cars that showed up. And that's usually it's 30. Usually nobody shows up on Sunday. The interesting thing that happened here is last year, this was one of the few events that was open in the Midwest, and a lot of new people came. So whatever we lost in COVID, we got with just new attendees, and they just had a good time. So this year, everybody came back that normally would have and hadn't last year, and everybody else showed up too. It was just great.
Was it one course or is it side by side?
One course, one big course. All good guy shows are different. You never run the same course twice. But the Des Moines event, it's just the fairgrounds, and it's a huge layout.
Is it a fast course?
It's different every year. This particular one there were 2 180s in it, 2 hairpins. There were some that were like 270s. I mean, it was a difficult course for a big car. Not that they didn't give you the room to make it. You could have run a Suburban through there and had ample room. It was a difficult course for anything that just hates turning.
What actually did good there? Was it like a C3 Corvette or C4?
Well,
or maybe
in the Super Pro classes, they're bodied like, C2 Corvette, but they're really just race cars. For the real cars that are real Pro Touring cars that are really tuned up, I believe the winner of the Pro class was a 63 split window Corvette. Now, it was flared, wide body, had all the best stuff on it. The winner of the Street Machine class was an 87 Corvette. Chris Jacobs won it. Chris Jacobs can drive anything fast, but he won with that. They have a truck class, and they have I think it's called a Challenger class, and I kind of forget who won those. It was really fun. Now that I think I know what I'm doing with these shocks, or at least I know which knobs to turn to try to get a little more of what I want more. It was fun.
So would a Charger and a Chevelle be in the same class?
They were.
Okay.
It goes by minimum weight, and it goes by year, make, model, and all that. And then there is a front tire size limit. I think it's 275. I think that's the max size front tire you can run in the Street Machine class. And then
pretty good size.
Then you're bumped up to the pros. Yeah.
That is so great, man. I'm so proud that you get to use that car now finally and put some asphalt time on it. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Totally fun. When we get to the Holly plug here, I'll tell you about a fuel injection system I sold to a guy. Showed up with a really awesome inverted Bandit Trans Am. So it was gold instead of black. It was just killer. Totally killer.
Cool.
Corndog, did you get fuel injection figured out over the weekend? Your family was out of town. You said, I was going to tinker on these cars all weekend. Ding, dang.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Then what happened?
Then I had just a list of other things that I'd been putting off, just, stuff around the house and stuff like that. And so I was just like, well, let me go and tackle these, and maybe tomorrow I'll do the fuel injection thing. And I didn't get a chance to really.
Maybe go out and mow the lawn and find that other Charger in the yard.
Yeah. That's the thing with me is I've got 5 acres. So it's like as soon as you finish cutting grass, it's time to turn around and start back over again, especially this time of year. I cut grass all the time. And so that's one of the things that, and try to actually sit in some air conditioning every once in a while, but not too often. Yeah. The weekend flew by way too fast for me.
That's all right. You have 2 months left to mow party.
Yeah.
All good.
Man, that's going to be here before I know it.
Let's do a couple quick listener mails, and then we'll get to the award-winning Bernie on the News segment that was promised to be short and sweet and short. This is our listener update. Only 2 emails here. I want to make sure that I've got these in before they dropped off the list. This is from Evan Paflum. The first letter is P, but it reads like Flum or Flume. Evan Flume, we'll say that. He says, Rob, longtime listener and fan of the KAFS show, and now recently binge listening to the Muscle Car Place podcast. I am 24 years old, and I've been a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan my whole life, so this is my favorite podcast. I purchased the 69 Charger last year, and am currently in the process of turning it into a General E. I have a built 440 for it with a Holley Sniper Stealth EFI and a Stage 3 Silver Sport A41. Nice.
Sweet.
Cool.
That I decided on after hearing you talk about it on the show. Ooh. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, I didn't read this far. I got to send this on.
Forward.
Credit. Yeah. A suggestion I have for you is when you run out of episodes is to go back and review the earlier episodes you did with Mike. I love those episodes with Mike, but I would love to hear Corndog's insight on those episodes, as they are my favorite seasons as they are yours. I love the show, and we may cross paths at a Dukes event in the future. If you'd like to see my car, I can send some pictures. Have a good day. Evan, send some pictures. Absolutely. Would love to see that.
Very
24 years old.
Look at you role modeling. Wow. That's awesome.
How about that?
There's a perfect example of people say, oh, the younger kids or whatever, the younger people, they can't get into it because these cars are way too expensive and, you can't even get into the hobby. Well, there's a perfect example right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did a count. I think if we just go to the end of the Dukes of Hazzard season and call it quits, I think we only have like 28 episodes to go anyway. So we got to think of something else to do. And we've kicked around that idea, actually, of going back, maybe not reviewing all of those first few seasons, but picking the ones that we really specifically would like to hit on. And I mean, there's got to be at least a dozen or more that are, really, really good ones from those earlier seasons. For sure.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I don't know if anything that he said is copyrighted, that we can't use it anymore since he's gone. But you could pull a clip of him. And
Corndog's in charge now. We can do whatever we want, man.
Yeah.
Load it up.
Sorry, boss man. I forgot for a second. It's been hot here too.
Justin Roberts, one more email here. He says, "Hey, Rob, I want to reach out and sincerely apologize to both you and Dan Atkinson concerning my comment on this month's Patreon show. My intention was never to upset anyone, but after listening, I believe I definitely inserted my entire foot in my mouth. I do not have any direct contact information with Dan, so if you would please relay this message as well, I appreciate all you guys do. As a side note, I would like to hear more about the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving. Sounded like a lot of fun. Please take care, Justin Roberts." I had to look this one up. I was
trying to remember.
No idea what he was talking about. Much like when I have referred to friends of the show as a dick and completely forgot about it. I didn't know what Justin was talking about. And it was a great joke. And I think it landed as he intended. He was the one who said, "Is Dan Atkinson to me as Cousin Eddie is to Clark Griswold?" And the answer is, of course not, because I'm not related to Dan. But no, Justin, we got the joke, man. Maybe it didn't come off of the show, though. We got it. Everything's good. All good. Don't worry a thing about it. Send in more funny next month. By the way, what a nice thing of him to do, to send a note just in case. That was sincerely appreciated. So thank you very much. Well, let's go ahead and do the Patreon update now before we roll Bernie on the news. For those who don't know what Patreon is, and I have seen this actually on the last Facebook post, whenever we post shows, they will suddenly say, "Wait, is this show not an Apple Podcast or Spotify?" And no, the Patreon show is just on Patreon. It's only for patrons. You can join us there at patreon.com/KFshow. We have multiple levels available. If you're at the $20 level, which is the super bitchin' killer level, we'll do a one-on-one phone call with you. We're all caught up on our $20 levels. The giveaway this month was from Stephen Boyce, which was the beautiful Boss Hogg artwork, wooden artwork. We had more interaction on our June show for people who were hoping to get that thing than we've ever had on any show in the past, ever.
That thing looked cool, too.
It's never been that engaged before. Steve Grandstaff won. Dan Atkinson chose him as the winner because Steve broke his hip. So breaking his hip finally paid off, and he got something out of it. Steve Boyce wrote in. He said, "We are very glad we could provide the donation for this month's deserving listener. Just a bit of background on the Like a Boss piece. The colors are done with wood stains, except for the whites of his eyes. I cut all the parts with a scroll saw and hand sand each piece before stain and reassembly. Bernie, we for sure use new Glad sandwich bags. I have a college friend that works for Glad, and he provides all of our storage needs. The vinyl 01 decals that we also included are good inside or out. They are 10-year vinyl, so feel free to use wherever you wish. Thanks again for all you guys do. Again, if you guys would like to join in, patreon.com/KFshow. I would like to purchase this time, Steve, some more items from you. These were very popular. Thank you for your donations, but we owe you one. How about you let me buy something this time?" So there we go. That's the Patreon update. And now
he can come up with anything that you imagine too, really. He can probably do it.
I'm sure he could. I wonder if you could supply a photo and he could tell you if that's something he could make, right? Cool. Like a custom piece. Like my placard here behind me is something I love. I'd love to have one of a car, of an actual piece like that. That'd be awesome, but cool.
I bet he could do it.
And now I've stalled long enough. He was all geared up and I could see him just, oh crap. I thought it was on and now I got to turn off. Now I got to go back on. This is the award-winning segment titled Bernie on the News. This is where people regionally, for regional treasures, national treasures, and international treasures, all tune in to hear the things they need to know. Nobody could really trust the news anymore, except Bernie on the news. And that's why we have it. Bern, take it away, please.
Another car collection is going to auction. Big surprise. But this time, it's somebody we might actually recognize. It's Neil Pearce, former drummer for Rush. His family is going to let his collection go. Very, very stout collection. Not very big, but some good stuff in here. 63 split window Vet. A 64 Aston Martin DB5. a 64 Jag E-Type. Great cars. 73 Maserati Ghibli 4.9 SS Coupe. A 1970 Lamborghini Miura P400S. Oh, great cars. Beautiful, beautiful cars. Last but not least, 64 Shelby Cobra 289.
Cool.
Now,
small block.
All these cars have something in common except one. All the ones except the Cobra are silver.
Really?
So he collected a very specific color for his collection, all except the Cobra, and it's black. Little cool fact there. So I don't know if they're going as a set or if they're going individually. I would guess individually.
What was the Maserati again? That was the only one I couldn't picture in my head. I don't know those cars hardly at all.
I don't either, really, but it makes sense. You recognize it when you see the picture of it. It's a 73 Maserati, and I believe it's pronounced Ghibli, Ghibli, 4.9 Super Sport Coupe, SS Coupe.
Super Sport.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what it is. It's probably
396.
Yeah.
411 gears. That's it.
It probably doesn't have small on it, though.
It's got that big button on the dash, disabled.
It says, I'm famous.
Fire rockets.
no emissions required. It's okay, I'm famous.
Has a little flip-up cowl induction vent.
Sure it does.
Could be.
You might be thinking of something else, but I like where this is going.
Shout out to you, Clay Milliken, our pal and top fuel pilot. He effectively took over the show during the Summit Nationals in Norwalk, Ohio. Did you see this? It was really cool. Clay and the team made the call to use another driver over the weekend because Clay just wasn't feeling 100% and under the weather a little bit. And let me tell you, that is the right call when you've got to bareback a top fuel car. In his place, they chose Austin Prock, who's working crews for other people. He made some awesome runs. So way to go, dudes. And Clay put in some good time, some good color commentary up in the booth during that. So the kind of the Clay Milliken show. Very proud to hear you, dude.
It's like the hardest thing to do is to let somebody have your ride. And you never want to admit, like, I can't do it right now. But he is also wise enough to make that difficult call. That would suck to have to basically give away the thing that means the most to you. It's cutthroat racing. So what if that guy's really good and he never gets back out? We've all seen Days of Thunder, right?
I mean, that's a true story. I mean, come on.
When Robin Hood, Men in Tights, got in Cole Trickle's car and then didn't get back out.
That's right.
It happened.
That's right.
Happened, man.
That was very cool. You're right. That takes a mature team to make a call like that and then to go on with a weekend. So good call, man. That was that's a very, very, very team thing to do.
Yep.
Just in time for the Power Tour 2021 edition. Futures for West Texas Intermediate. That's the main grade of U.S. crude. Prices jumped 2.4% from Friday's close to $76.95 a barrel, their highest level since the energy price crash of 2014. That translates roughly to, out of my state, that probably would be close to $3 a gallon right now. Is that true about where you are? It's $2.60 to $2.78 where I am.
What grade of fuel would that be?
That would be just your low grade, 89 to 93 grade.
Is that an ethanol blend in Texas?
Yes, it is. At least 10%.
Oh, yeah. We're about actually the same here. Obviously, Iowa has a huge tax incentive to run an ethanol fuel. I don't run the ethanol fuel. In fact, I seek out the alternatives to it. There's a lot of reasons for that. Yeah, about the same for that level of gas here. Now, our lowest octane is 87, 89, and then 91 would be the non-ethanol option.
We are 89, 91, and 93 typically at the pumps around DFW. What do you have, Corndog?
It's like 87, either 89 or 91, and then 93. There's a couple stations around here that have ethanol-free 93.
Ooh,
and
that I haven't found. Yeah, that's cool.
The one station that I go to, that's for the ethanol free. That's all they have is the 93. And I usually get that for my old cars and stuff. So it's like $3.50 right now, I think.
Ooh, gee. Yeah, because on the Power Tour, you always know who the big block cars are because you make your 50 to 100 mile run and the very, very first gas station, zip.
There's an exit.
You can know right away. This week in automotive history-ish, June 30th, 1953. Know what happened? Big day. Big day in automotive history.
No.
The very first Corvette rolls off the assembly line.
June of 53?
June 30th, 1953.
I didn't realize it was a mid-year car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why there's so few of them, I believe, of the 53s. There's more 54s, but the 53s are kind of like very few.
Didn't know that. I learned something from Bernie on the news.
That's the point.
How about that? Yeah.
Like there was an original Autorama promo car that they put out, and it was different than the ones that you could buy on the floor. It had a very special front fender trim, and then it had Corvette script on the hood instead of just back in the back.
Really?
So if you ever see that car, get it, because that's one of a kind. One of a kind.
Yeah.
To close out, birthdays. Got a lot of birthdays this time, as we always do. If we skip a lot of time, then a lot of people are born and died. Mike Tyson, 55 years old.
Check your station.
Yeah. It happens. Michael Phelps, the swimmer, Olympic swimmer, 35 years old. Thought he was a little bit older.
Smoked a lot of pot. Right?
It keeps you young.
Mm-hmm.
Guess you have to wash the smoke off of you. That's what the swimming does, the chlorine. Thought she was younger. Liv Tyler, 44. Pamela Anderson, thought she was older, 54.
She's got more years.
Yeah, she's got more miles. Maybe not more years, but more miles.
Yeah.
And finally, well, not finally, but Maverick. Tom Cruise is 59 just recently.
Damn.
And then I didn't know this, TV producer Larry David, who is a producer of 1 million shows, including, I believe, Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
Larry
Seinfeld,
David.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, all of it. Yeah.
74 years old. And that's your birthdays. And that's your news.
Good news, Bird. So Saturday Night Live, whenever they have the new suave of presidential candidates, all the comedians get assigned to impersonate somebody, and eventually they settle on a few. But they started bringing in celebrities to do the impersonations maybe 5 to 6 years ago. Larry David and Bernie, not our Bernie, what?
Sanders?
Is that his last name? Bernie Sanders? My mind just blanked on that.
The one who ran?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders.
I'm going to win the White House and we're going to paint it orange.
Larry David and Bernie Sanders look and speak identically. Only one is a comedian.
You can see that now. You say that. Yeah.
And Larry Sanders is awesome in that role. That's probably my favorite role of him. I haven't really seen Curb Your Enthusiasm very much, but cool. Good news, man.
Short enough?
Yeah.
Cool. We'll shoot for that more often.
That was really nice.
Backhanded statement.
Well done. Get my attention. Got it all.
Take notes, Katie Couric. I'm coming for you.
That's right. Like when they put Clay Millican in the booth, he wasn't worried about losing his car. Like, I can take this guy's job, no problem. I'll be announcing this, but then we're done. Let's go ahead and get to the Duke's Review, which of course is presented by Holly. Now, the big thing coming up this fall that you need to be planning for right now is you need to go to a Holly event. Pick a GM event, a Ford event, or like us, the Mopar event. If you like autocrossing, if you like drag racing, if you like speed stops, if you like burnouts, if you like mullet contests, if you like watching cars fly,
or go on two wheels,
pick your favorite event with your favorite brand. Just go for it. Suck it up and be a man. Maybe you want to go to all three. That's fine. 2 in September, 1 in October. LS Fest is the first one up. If you have an LT powered vehicle, you are eligible. It can be any vehicle. It's the power plant that matters. At the Mopar one, it's the vehicle. So I believe you could show up technically with a non-Mopar power plant. I think they just go by the vehicle there. And on the Ford one, I can't recall. So we're going to have to get somebody to help us understand the rules on there. I'm sure it's on the website, but I got confused in the Ford one before. I know in the LS one, though, you can show up with damn near anything. A Volkswagen, a Mustang, a Camaro. As long as it's got a GM, LS, or LT under the hood, you're good.
But us Mopar folks are cutthroat. You show up in a Camaro with a Hemi, you're still getting trash talked.
Yeah, they are just horrible, horrible people.
Brand loyal, you know. It's going to be Mopar all the way, inside and out.
We, not in this show, off the air, are going to talk about our plans here because people have been asking, and we had a lot of fun last year. A whole lot of fun. So
that was fun.
Let's chat about that one. And if we're going to do something at that event or something above and beyond, let's try to help people know that in advance.
Yeah.
And again, we're not going to do that right now. So just click the link below in our notes. Make sure when you get registered, tell somebody there that you heard it on this show. That helps us so much. You have no idea how much that is measured and means something to them. Jamie Smith will be back to put a Generally Up on two wheels and to do some more jumps at the Mopar event. The LS Fest event is the biggest of all of them, I'm sure. So
not for long.
Not for long.
Take over.
At the Good Guy show I was at, my favorite, there's a 70 E-body challenge. Of course it's E-body, it's a Challenger. There's a 70 Challenger that was running around. What's the lime green color?
It's Limelight.
Limelight.
Or Sublime, depending on if it's Dodge or Plymouth.
He had a Moparty logo on his hood, and he was the only competitive Mopar in the Autocross that was running a Mopar power plant. There were two others there, and they were running LSs. He was running a 440, and he was screaming.
Cool.
Yeah, so it was awesome. Click the link in our show notes below. Make sure that you tell them we sent you. The guy that I talked into getting an EFI system was pitted right next to me. It was a 77 or 78, Smoking the Bandit Trans Am, but gold instead of black. And he had bought it all pro touringed out, but it was like a 10-year-old pro touring car. So it wasn't sitting on coilovers. It was sitting on leaf springs. Good leaf springs, but leaf springs.
Yeah.
It had a 4-speed. It had a built all aluminum Pontiac motor under the hood. It had an oil pump, right? Like the extractor pump on the front. I mean, this thing was a race car and cool. Not very fun to drive on the street. And he said, tell me what you would do with this car. And I kind of mentioned a few things. And, you know, obviously coilovers are probably more normal now than when it was very functional and he was doing it well. And then he said, what about the motor? Would you LS it? And I go, well, you know, the easiest thing in the world would be LS it, but it's kind of cool that it's a Pontiac with a Pontiac engine. He goes, what about EFI? And I said, honestly, unless you're using this car for something besides racing is just fine. I mean, you've got a killer setup on this. You can tune it for anything you want. It's going to scream. And he goes, but I want to drive it most of the time and just race it a little bit. I said, cancel what I just said. You need EFI. Yeah. And you won't regret it. And then I walked him through, and here's how you tie it to the ignition, and here's how it'll run your radiator fans for you. And here's how it's going to start a whole lot easier than yours is when it's hot. And here's how it's going to do this and that. It's just so obvious once you have the option to go for it. I just did an interview with Steve Rupp from previously Camaro Performers fame. I mean, he's a big name in tech articles. He bought the tri-tip Camaro, Mark Stilo's very first 69 Camaro build. And he bought it and it still had the all aluminum filter motor in it. He just put EFI on it. He didn't LS swap it. He didn't need to. He said that, the motor that was in it was all so powerful. I just needed EFI to make it livable. So use our link below. If you're in that boat as well, you'll never regret the drivability and you get the performance too. So with that, it is time for the Dukes of Hazzard review.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm.
This is season 6, episode 11, titled High Flyin' Dukes. And here's the show preview right here.
Tonight on the Dukes, Daisy's Duster drops a crop of crooks on Hazzard. Let's
go! Drop them and stop them, or do we?
And things are flying.
Amazing. Like we've all been there. Bernie, did you watch this episode?
I was going to, and then I remembered a few episodes back, a few months back, we had talked about doing something like they do on TV, like us three being in Mystery Science Theater 3000. Mm-hmm. So I was waiting for that. I thought we were going to do the episode real time today.
Mm-hmm. So that's a negative on that?
That's a no. Yeah.
That's a negative.
It's a good cover up, though.
Are you telling the truth? Did you really think we were doing it?
We talked about that at one point. Yeah.
That was a joke.
Oh, really? Oh, good one.
Got him.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not doing that ever together.
Yeah, I did watch this one, and you probably loved it just because you mixed the General Lee with, granted it's a biplane, but it's still airplane. So
you're onto something there. Again, season 6, episode 11, High Flyin' Dukes. Familiar name for writer and director. Written by Martin Roth, directed by Ralph Riskin. Original air date December 9th, 1983. So some aviation returns in this one. Some cool photography. I guess it'd be videography. Some cool stuff.
Camera work
when the airplane's in there.
Yes.
I'm not sure the rest of the episode's worth your time. Here's the IMDb summary. Daisy takes to the skies to help the Duke's friend, a crop duster, who is injured. Boss learns about this and plants lye in the chemicals, knowing that the farmers would hold the Dukes responsible when their crops become ruined. That's the IMDb summary. Basically right.
Yeah, the gist of it, yeah.
Crop dusting. And I'm referring to the actual crop dusting, not when you walk through a room.
At a grocery store.
Yeah, not that one. Not the leave a little something behind you. That one. DVD summary.
That would have been a totally different episode if that was the case.
If only we could go back in time.
What, yesterday?
Those are the funniest. Well, Google it on YouTube if you don't know what we're talking about. DVD summary. Crop dusting. Daisy earns her wings. But a low-down skunk, could it be Boss Hogg, doctored the dust?
Crop dusting Daisy. There you go. That's a mental picture for you.
It is indeed. Oops. Here's my summary. And I wrote this in as I watched the episode, kind of in real time. And I just kept adding to it, and I just kept scratching my head. Wait a minute. I watched the show preview. Haven't I seen this plane before? And was that bad guy the African-American Car 55 cop in Blues Brothers? I think it was. And Boss Hogg is committing insurance fraud again. Dang. This seems kind of boring to me. Daisy became a crop duster. Boss hired bad guys to do something. They double-crossed him. One of the bad guys can fly a plane. They run a protection racket against farmers by threatening to poison their crops. There's some great generally drifts in here at high speed, and a few minutes of aerial shots are good. Why is Bo hanging from a rope ladder from a plane? And why can't the bad guy shoot him? He had 2 guns. And he ran out of bullets. Pretty hard to miss somebody just hanging there. I'm at a loss here. I am mostly in this episode for Corndog's book. 28 more episodes to go. I counted while I was watching this episode. I was so bored. The end. That was my sound.
Really?
That's probably your best so far. That's pretty awesome.
I figured you would have liked it better than this.
I thought I would too, until I watched it. Again, when the airplane's there, and I love all the photography and camera work when the airplane and generally in the same screen. Yep. All of it. Every last one of them.
There's I love great shots.
When the general is out there, doing its flying 90 drifts on the tarmac, I loved it. The rest of the episode does nothing for me. There's a lot of recycled footage. There's very little new stunt-wise that doesn't have something to do with the scenes that I already described. But that's the gist of it. Daisy takes over for the crop duster who has appendicitis. Boss is running a scheme by poisoning the actual crop dusting chemicals with lye to poison stuff. So people have to pay him to not poison them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't it amazing that the Duke's characters are like multi-talented? You've never heard anything about Daisy flying a plane, and all of a sudden now she can fly a plane, crop dust, do maneuvers in the sky, and all kinds of stuff.
So this actually has a tie to a Coy and Vance episode. I had to go look it up.
Your favorites.
In season 5, episode 17, which was titled Comrade Duke, that whole episode was about Coy and Vance revealing themselves as communist sympathizers. Obviously. Now, also in that episode was a guy named Darcy, and he was a pilot teaching Daisy how to fly in a 1943 Stearman that was burgundy in color. And in this episode, it starts out with Waylon reminding you of that. And this plane is supposed to be the same plane. And the crop duster now bought the last guy out. Now, it's interesting that they go to the work to tie that together just so the plane matches, because I pulled the tail number off of this plane, just like I pulled it off of the one in the episode we did before. It's not the same plane. This one is N68405. It is a 43 Stearman PT-17. It was in California at that time. It is still flying today, and today it lives just outside of Seattle. And that's awesome to me, but it's not the exact same plane. I found the tail number from the last set of notes we did for that other episode. It's different, but clearly they're supposed to be the same plane. I believe they're flying out of the same airport as they were in that other episode. When it looks like it's crop dusting, that plane, it's not crop dusting anything. That's smoke system. And whoever is flying that airplane is a bad son bitch, because he's got those wheels about a foot off the ground and he is flying.
I've always been impressed with watching crop dusters fly around. It's so cool to watch them dip down in a field and then pull right up at the tree line. And it's pretty amazing what they can do.
I believe the most popular model today of crop duster is called an air tractor. They're usually yellow now. They kind of look like a P-51 on steroids a little bit. Mm-hmm. What they were flying in this episode was appropriate for the time. Just as a reminder, this was a Stearman PT-17. Stearman was bought out by Boeing in the 1930s. Whenever people in the know see these, you still call them kind of a Stearman. But it was built as a trainer aircraft in the 30s and 40s. The United States used it. Canada used it. It was very popular for air shows and crop dusting after the war and its time in the military was over. So it's cool and appropriate of the time airplane.
That's accurate, yeah.
When you hear that thing fire up, it uses an air starter. And you've heard a Stearman air starter in Star Wars. That's one of the many sound effects that make the Millennium Falcon like the doo 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 doo. That sound effect
really
is an air starter off of a Stearman, I believe. Question for you, Corndog. When the General is flying sideways and doing a full 180, like they're side by side, the Stearman's trying to get up speed to take off. The General's right next to it.
Yeah.
Pulls in the front and does a full slide 180 and ends backwards. The cars slide nice in this episode and they stay pretty flat. Do you know if they ever were beefed up with like good sway bars and shocks, or were they just doing a good job sliding?
Many of the cars actually got, I think they're called load leveling shocks, basically like a shock with a coil spring on it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the cars got those. That kind of almost works like a sway bar, sort of, because it stiffens the rear travel more. That could have been the case, but I don't know of any of the cars that had rear sway bars.
Okay. Some interesting side facts about this episode. I have very few clips from the episode. It's not that clippable a show. There are two bad guys in it. One of them is played by an actor named Stephen Williams. Now, he could be the twin of Al White. And Al White has also been in this TV show as a bad guy. I'm going to play you two clips. One of them is Stephen Williams. One of them is Al White. I'm going to play you from their most famous roles that we all know and love. So you tell me which one is which. Let me pull up the first one here. Okay, here's actor number one.
Knock yourself approach, slick. The gray matter back, lot performers down, not take TCB in, man.
Hey, you know what they say? See a broad to get that booty yak 'em, leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em. Oh, got to be. Yeah.
It was the first actor there speaking that.
That wasn't on the Dukes of Hazzard, by the way.
That was not on the Dukes of Hazzard. Now, was that first guy Al White or Steve Williams?
That, I think, would have been Al White.
That was Al White. So this has got to be... he has a very small clip in here, but it's totally worth it.
Want to hand me the mic? Thanks a lot. Hi, this is car... what number are we? 55. Car 55. We're in a truck.
It does sound like them, though.
They could be twins. They look so much alike. In this episode, it was Stephen Williams. He's the bad guy in it. He has some good photography when he's laying out the window of the bad guy Nova.
Oh,
he
yeah.
shoots the gas can and he goes, yeah, when they're driving away. The car is in motion. And I mean, that's a pretty good shot of him. I thought that was.
Did you see the scene? He was standing right in front of the plane, right when they cranked it up. Propeller spinning on the front. He's standing like right in front of the propeller. Did you catch that? I mean, it may have been just the angle of the shot. It looked like he was standing, like he could have reached over and hit the running.
I would want to be nowhere near that thing.
From the angle, you could clearly tell that it was spinning, and he's standing right there. And it was probably just the angle that made it look like he was closer, but he was like right on top of it.
There's silly music in this episode when Boss and Roscoe go by. It's very season 6. It's just a reminder of where we are in the series. Here's one clip I pulled. This means something. I just don't know what.
Well, I guess we better go check the schedule and see who gets dusted tomorrow, huh, guys?
Who gets dusted tomorrow? Maybe that's what it was.
It means something. I'm not entirely sure what it totally means. Bo gets picked up by a ladder from the airplane, and then he hangs over the bad guy car while the bad guy car exhausts not one, but 2 guns trying to kill him. Misses
shooting
every time.
Straight up at him.
And that's the episode. But Boss Hogg is trying to ruin his own crops by having them crop dusted with lye so he can collect insurance from the crop duster. That goes south. And then he gets double-crossed by some bad guys that he hired, and they end up doing the same thing he was going to do. So,
that was their goal, was they wanted to cut him out of the loop and just basically get 100% profit.
Do you have any specific notes? And do you also have the magic book that tracks any general leads in this one?
Yes, I think I am back on track as far as having the particular episode in unison with the book, I guess you could say.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, at the end of the Dukes of Hazzard series, sold into public hands were 17 general leads that were left over. Warner Brothers, the studio, kept 2. So that's a total of 19 if you're counting. Public school or private. Still adds to 19.
Common Core, it all works out the same.
Common Core, new math, still 19. We believe there are more than 19. Or we believe that when the series ended, there were more than 19. Yeah. And we're trying to see if we can come up with some proof. This is a scientific, what do they call it when they come up with an answer and then they try to prove it? A hypothesis? Yeah.
Sure.
Theorem?
Sure. Hello, Bernie McFarland.
News department.
Bernie on the news. What can I do for you? Do you have your book?
I do. I will say this. The reason that I think I was able to get them back in the line, they filmed these out of order. The episodes air out of order. Let me put it that way.
Oh, filming.
And so, right. A couple episodes ago, there was a couple of them where they kind of flopped around a little bit, and then I was not able to keep track with what was what. But in this episode, there's a scene where they do a mini jump where they have the camera set up right below the ramp. And, the ramp's about 2 feet in the air. Car jumps over. It looks like a big jump. But there's a scene where it's a continuous shot, and the bad guy's nondescript car, and then it's the General Lee, and then it's the police car, one right after the other, all 3. And so on October 27th, in the notes, it's a nondescript mini jump, police car mini jump, General Lee mini jump.
Okay.
And so that kind of nailed it down. And what I was saying before we started recording, most of these are about a month out of when they aired. That kind of nails it down to about the right time frame. So when I see 3 mini jumps on the same day, 3 different vehicles, that's pretty much nails it for me. So yeah, that's what we've got. But there was one jump in this episode, at least according to this. If I do have it timed on the same time frame, then General Lee number 53 was jumped and totaled.
53. So that is new on my list here. So I'm keeping a running list of every General Lee that you have referenced
that we mentioned.
So we started doing this, and I think we started doing this season 6, episode 7. I did not have a General Lee 50. So GL 53, you said?
Yep.
So GL 53 totaled.
Jump and totaled.
This is episode 11, right? Season 6, episode 11.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember which jump that would have been, because like you said, there was a lot of recycled footage. You see a lot of small push bars in this episode.
Yeah.
And, we've been out of the small push bar for quite a while now. There was one jump at the very beginning. I don't know if it was a different angle or it was a totally different jump, but it was kind of from the passenger side looking the length of the jump. The car kind of comes from your left and jumps, away from the camera. So it was a pretty cool jump. That could have been 53. Like I said, I don't know if that was recycled footage or if that was a new jump.
Any other generals referenced in there for this episode?
We've got General Lee number 5. It just gets the typical tune-up, like battery terminals, air.
That's another new one for us.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And
GL 5.
GL05. It's 2 battery terminals, air, gas, filters, 4 feet of hose, 4 clamps, 2 quarts of oil, 3 quarts of ATF.
This book he's referring to is privately owned book by him, paid for, and is a maintenance log that was created during the series by people who were maintaining the cars.
Warner Brothers was wanting to keep a better track. Once the series began, there was no rhyme or reason on how much they were spending, and they wanted to keep a better track of what each episode was costing. I'm able to break it down by the production because there's a number at the top that kind of like a billing number. This episode is under this billing number. So, they're able to say, okay, we spent this much on cars on the transportation department. And then, spoiler alert, they end up cutting costs and going to mini model cars. So this was part of the reason why.
Ugh. We don't speak of that.
You love that.
Yeah.
You love the alien. Don't lie. So the other car next on the list is generally 28. Nothing on it.
Okay.
You should have that one.
That's definitely on the list. That's noted as a surviving car to this day.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Then we got generally number 64.
New to the list.
Is it?
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. GL64. Okay, I got it here.
I'm pretty sure that car's still around too.
Okay.
64 sounds right.
So you want me to write Survivor on that one?
Yeah, I can double check, but I'm pretty sure 64 is still around.
Okay, got it.
I believe that may have been the car, when I think this was the same scene. You mentioned when he threw the gas can out, the bad guy threw the gas can out and then shot it in a big explosion and then generally runs through it. I think that was the same scene. After he ran through it, they kind of swerved to the left and went off into the ditch.
Yeah.
And kind of hit the embankment, the nose. Well, generally 64 got a fan, radiator, 8 quarts of oil filter, 2 coolant, a fan belt, and body damage. So that sounds like a front end wreck to me. And so that could possibly be number 64 that did that scene.
Okay.
And then we've got number 67, nothing written by it. I don't think you have that one, do you?
Yeah, that's been in 2 episodes so far. Is that a surviving car? Do you know?
I don't believe so. I'm not familiar with that number.
Okay.
Then we got 53. That was the jump that we mentioned.
Yep.
Then car number 33, which is a survivor.
Yep. That's on the list.
This is what I don't understand. It says 2 radiators. Why would it need 2 radiators? 2 radiators, 2 fans, 10 quarts of oil, 2 oil filters, 2 coolant, 1 stop leak. He loved the stop leak, by the way. 6 ATF, 2 fan belts, mini jump.
10 quarts of oil? They change oil twice?
They were chasing problems, I believe. Oh, yeah, it needs an oil change. And then they find out, something else is wrong.
Like those
so then
guitars with 2 necks on them, like double guitars. Double.
Yeah. That was our mini jump car, by the way.
Okay.
That was the mini jump that I mentioned, the 3 cars. Then generally number 808, nothing by it.
Got that on the list.
And then as far as generalies, that's it for that day on October 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And then 28th, we got car number 8, car number 28, car number 24.
Wait.
Car number 67.
Did you say 24?
Yes.
That's a new one too.
24 is the survivor. That's the only surviving RT.
Ooh, I'll put that on the note here. RT.
Yeah. Actually, out of all of 19, like you mentioned, Warner Brothers kept 2, sold 17. Out of the 19, that is the only surviving RT, real RT. So that was the 28th of October.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no notes on them, just number 8, 28, 24, 67. And then we go to prep day, which prep day I think was just basically they've wrapped up for the week and he's fixing cars in between episodes. And we've got car number 8, car number 57, which is a survivor.
57, didn't have that down. Okay.
Most of these are just, odds and ends, air filter, battery terminals, whatever. And that's it. No, wait. WGL 66, 3 feet of fuel line, 4 hose clamps, and 2 quarts of ATF.
That's a new one too.
Car number 52, 1 air filter, 1 fuel filter, and 2 quarts of oil.
Geez, for an episode that didn't have a lot of generals in it, that used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, see, that's the other thing too, is I'd like to paint a picture on when everything was written, when this book was taken, the notes were taken, because, for example, car number 52, 1 air filter, 1 fuel filter, whatever. I almost wonder if that may have been a car that was just sitting there on the lot and it's like, okay, let me get all the cars, and not necessarily used in the episode, but it was just one sitting on the lot that needed something done to it.
I just recounted 11. You've mentioned 11 generalese.
In just this episode?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like 20 air filters. I mean, it must have been windy that day.
One of them had the extra big oil pan.
Like a 10
quarts.
Yeah.
That car, it's still around too, like I mentioned. And it was used a lot for mini jumps. So that's kind of, I don't want to say it's claim to fame, but it was, I've noticed many times, car number 33 has been mini jumped.
Any others?
That's it for the day.
Okay, here's the stats on where we are right now. We started doing this 4 episodes ago. So far, you have told us about 15 different generalese.
Cool.
2 of which are totaled. So there's
really? Is that all?
2 of them have been totaled that you've told me about so far. Now, I've written down different problems in there, but if it didn't say totaled, I didn't write totaled.
Yeah. Like and if it says total, I'll read it.
Okay.
Totaled.
Of the ones that you've mentioned that are survivors, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 survivors thus far. So
cool.
15 generals, 13 as of this episode still alive, and 7 to this day survivors.
Very cool.
I think we're getting somewhere.
This is going to be interesting to see it all unfold.
Everybody was betting 30, basically, was the number. Bernie was either slightly over or under. You were whichever he wasn't. And I was just going to say I knew it all along. So, yeah.
Well, see, Bernie has the ability to go in there and change his answer. He can re-edit it and say, I said 26 the whole time. But he can't. Bernie, can you upload it and like swap episode files?
So yes, he can. And I know he cheats. Yeah. On the rare times when I spot check his work, like, there's no way I said that. I know he pulled that from a different day and assembled that together. No, I didn't.
It's going to be like a year from now, and like his voice is going to get deeper and whatever. When he goes in there and says 26, and it's going to be a different voice altogether.
You want to go old school? Go get the early episodes before I was burnt out on life. Yeah. All right.
It all comes down to a very simple answer. Yeah. I upped my estimate. Up yours.
There we go. Corndog, your rating on this episode?
The cinematography, I guess, did it for me on this one. I thought it was pretty cool, and the second unit's kind of pulled up the lack of the first unit. So I give it a solid 6, maybe.
I'm going to split mine. When there's aviation involved, aviation plus generally equals a 10. It's excellent. The rest of the episode was a 4. It was just boring. I love the airplane and the car together. They clicked. Bernie, your review of our review.
I have none. I'm still trying to decide, do I get the moose antlers or do I get the big metal thing on my head when we do the Science Theater 3000 thing?
The gumball machine thing. I always thought you'd be Tom Servo.
I could do that.
Corndog is Crow. I'm the witty human.
Yeah. Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. That is it for this episode. If you enjoy this, visit us on Patreon, of course, patreon.com/KF show. Be sure you go buy a little something for yourself from Holly and attend a Holly event. And for God's sakes, tell them that you're doing so because you like this show and you enjoy it and you want more from anybody who supports us. But especially them, they just happen to make the best speed parts in the industry and we love them. And we use them ourselves.
And they come out with stuff all the time. New stuff.
All the time. You should be subscribed to Motor Life. Some of the biggest names that you used to read in the print magazines for tech now write for Holly on Motor Life. Jeff Smith.
Cool.
Look it up. It's all out there. Fellas, anything else before we go for this episode?
Not that I know of. I'm sure Bernie has something witty.
Little dad joke?
No. Went short on the news because I care.
Was that the dad joke?
No.
Okay. We turned the page. Nothing? Well, I wasn't prepared for that. Let me... here, we'll end on this. This is a Corndog special here.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Guys!
Did you guys hear that? It's not. Let me make sure it came through.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
There we go. Are you guys hearing it? You're not hearing it?
Yeah, we heard it.
Okay, good.
Twice.
Good. Okay. Everybody, leave us a rating in Apple Podcasts or anywhere else. Share this on Instagram. We will catch you later. Bye-bye.
Later.
The Kibbe and Friends Show. Brought to you by our good friends at Holly Performance. Click the link on our show page and visit holly.com for everything air, fuel, and performance related for your ride. Connect with us on the socials and at patreon.com/KAFS. See you next week. Later on.
Well, I guess we better go check the schedule and see who gets dusted tomorrow, huh, guys?
Don't worry, boss. I see it. I ain't worried about you seeing it. I'm worried about you hitting it. Oh, now you're kidding.
I'd do it if I wasn't driving. You know that.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Call her.
Hey, Daisy, look, I don't think it's there, but why don't you check and see if that rope ladder that Joe used to use for stunt flying's in the plane?
Hold on. Yes, here.
Listen, Daisy, why don't
Why don't you fly over to General Lee and drop that ladder on out and fetch me?
And now wait a minute, Bo. I hope you're not thinking of doing what I hope you're not thinking of doing.
Are you crazy? Bo, do you want to break with that dang fool neck of yours? No way!
Daisy, now just come on over and do it, all right?
I can't do it!
Just come on, do it, all right?
You just better know what you're doing, young man.
Well, now, that's what I call a winged victory. Bo put out a call for Enos.
Hey, you be careful.
After the Dukes made sure that all the farmers in Hazzard got their money back, they kept both tapes to make sure that Boss not only dropped his charges against them and Joe Ward, but made sure that Boss planted something. After all, Boss had a contract with old Ward to dust his farm for the rest of the season at double the price. Now, that was okay for Joe, who was real happy to be back. So if any of y'all out there are interested in farming, come to Hazzard and see how they do it. It's a real great place to grow, especially a family like the Dukes.